My wife and I first started dating. She bought me some flowers.
She romanced you.
She romanced me.
Got it.
Is it weird to you? I mean, I'm still kind of trying to get comfortable with it.
Did she hold the door for you?
Yo, no.
I could see a pedicure.
Would you?
Depends on his feet.
That could be Mara's feet. And you
No way, you about to be cutting up my hands.
Yo, what's going on? This is
the Tim and Tam Talks. All right, look, bring it home. Let's get into this.
We're gonna have a lot of great conversations. Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Tim and Tam Talks, the back pew conversations, here on a special night. We normally do this on Tuesday nights, but we're going to do it Wednesday night for this one time. So we thank you guys for joining us. I'm one of your co-hosts, Tim Nicholas.
And I'm Tam. What's up, y'all?
What's up, Tam? How you doing this week?
Listen, I'm easing through. I'm trying to make my way to Houston, but it got me tired. But yeah, I'm easing through.
Hey, it's going to be very hard when you move. For all the listeners and viewers, Tam is moving from Dallas to Houston in the coming weeks. And although we didn't get a lot of opportunities to just kick it in person and things like that, you still are going to be missed. Very much so. So, I wish you the best down in Houston, down in H-Town.
Thank you. Look, I haven't told anybody, so y'all the first to know, literally. So if you're watching this, I literally haven't told family or anybody.
Oh, dang, my bad. I'm just putting all your business out there. My fault. Man. But nonetheless, we definitely thank you guys for joining us tonight. We are very excited. We got some great topics to talk about on tap tonight. We're going to start off with what has been a celebratory week for the Black folk. Okay? Yeah. It's been a celebratory week for the Black folks thanks to the Montgomery Tea Party. Okay? And for those of you who have been living under a rock for the past 4 or 5 days, we just going to play this clip for you. We're going to start off showing y'all the Montgomery Tea Party. Check it out.
First off, can we just... I'm so proud of us.
I'm proud of y'all.
Did you see the man of God who swam? Did you see the man of God swam? We were so resourceful, weren't we? We were picking up chairs. Yeah. Wow. We was using what we could.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie, it was blissful. It was so blissful. I don't care what none of y'all say. Oh, we should not condone violence. We should just turn the other cheek. And that is the word.
But the other word says that he will cause the enemies that rise up against you to come up against you one way and leave you 7 ways. And that's what we saw.
Got 7 knots.
That's what we saw.
It was a proud moment in negative history. They need to add this to African American history in the books.
Look at they name it. Somebody said the Boston Tea Party.
Somebody also said the Boston Sweet Tea Party. Yeah.
We're not here to condone violence. But what I do condone is if you faith around and find out. I'm trying to be like Jesus. I'm not Jesus. I will slap you. I had a dream that we was whooping y'all ass. We know that there are good white people, and we know that there are people who fight for us and they're white. But right now, we're talking about the ones that don't. We talk about the ones that will jump a black man because he's doing his job. You can win.
Yeah. Huh?
As long as you keep your chest in the sky.
Kudos to them. That was funny.
Oh man, that was hilarious. I think it was funny. What I'm gonna do is our customary drink. I'm a toast to what transpired on Sunday. I think it was absolutely phenomenal to see what I saw on Sunday. I mean, you have seen all the memes by now about this chair. This chair better go down in history based on the swinging that people was doing with that chair. It was hilarious.
Listen, I watched that video I don't know how many times. And then when I got through watching it, I watched it again and again and again and again. I'm just proud. Okay, a couple reasons I'm proud. I'm proud nobody used a gun for this situation. It was old school. I'm about to make you go night night. It was old school. Mess around and find out for real. Like, so the whole situation, again, we don't condone violence. All right, I gotta say that. We do not condone violence or bullying or any of that. But as a Black person, to see us actually working together for the greater good because somebody was getting jumped, to me, that says a lot, because we've been saying we don't stick together. We don't support each other. We don't trust each other. We don't have each other's back. So to see us actually have each other's back in this moment, I think it made everybody just really proud. I think, and that's one of the reasons we watched it. Oh, because it was almost unbelievable. Because I feel like we didn't think it could happen without it getting really, really bad. It was just like old fashioned. No, like, well, I'm gonna check you back. So I don't know. I don't condone violence. I do not condone violence, but it was good to watch. I gotta be honest, baby. It was good to watch.
It was amazing to watch. I agree with you, Pam. I really agree with you because number one, 2023, we have seen a bunch of craziness that we probably thought we would never see in this lifetime. From even DeMar Hamlin earlier in the year, January 2nd, you remember he would play. He's a player, for the Buffalo Bills, and he fell into cardiac arrest on the field. Most times you've seen somebody die from that, and here this man is back playing football. Yeah. That's just one of many examples of just this year alone where we have witnessed things that we never thought we would witness. Never in my lifetime, and I can't speak for you, but I don't think that any of us in our lifetime would have thought that we would come together the way that we came together on Sunday. And just to see that Black man doing his job, getting jumped, in most cases, people are just going to record it happening so it could go on World Star, But in this case, no, they was like, man, bump that. We're going to get this together. We're going to come together and we're going to whoop some tail. And like you said, we don't condone violence, but we do condone standing up for yourself.
Right.
That's the main thing. We condone standing up for yourself and standing up for others for the greater good. You don't want to see your fellow brother getting beat down for doing his job or anything of that matter, period. And I don't know if a lot of people know a lot about this, but see, that weekend, it was a Trump support. It was like a Trump rally in town. It was, I believe it was in Selma, Alabama. It was in town close by. And so a lot of those people that were there supporting Trump at his rally were there primarily in Montgomery, in that area, to intimidate Black people. And so we got to look at it as a whole. Those people, like this is a bigger thing than just somebody getting jumped. I'm telling you, so many Trump supporters in town in that Black community of Montgomery, Alabama, they went to intimidate those Black folks, and Black folks wasn't having it that day. So shout out to all the Black folks who did their thing by protecting that man, by protecting each other. No guns, no shootings, nothing like that. Shout out to y'all, man. And so it was a celebratory day in the history of African Americans. I think it was great.
Straight up butt whooping. Y'all see me with a shirt on with the whole incident on. Mind your business, okay? I'm Black and I'm proud.
You're gonna see me with a shirt with a white chair on it. You're gonna mind your business. Seriously. But shout out to the people in Montgomery. Shout out to also the police officer and the chief of police who actually did his job and arrested the rightful folks who insinuated that entire process with everybody. So shout out to everybody involved. But we're gonna keep it moving. We're gonna keep it going. And we got our next topic. So a few weeks ago, we talked about a baseball player. His name is Tim Anderson. Tim Anderson currently plays for the Chicago White Sox. He's the man on the right. And the reason why we are bringing this situation up again is because Tim ended up getting pregnant. Like, he has a girlfriend and a wife at the same time, which sounds familiar, right? Happens a lot. And so he just was more public with it because he got the girlfriend pregnant while he separated from the wife. The wife knows all about it, and yet they're still together. And so Tam and I came on and talked about the entire situation. And it was just like, this is crazy. It's asinine. It's all of this. Well, I feel like Tim got a little bit of karma over the past weekend because Jose Ramirez, a player for the Cleveland Guardians on the left-hand side, knocked Tim Anderson out in a brawl on like Saturday. Tim got suspended 6 games. Jose got suspended 3 games. But I think above all, getting clocked in your face and he dropped to the ground. When I saw that, all I said was karma. This dude got some serious karma. And so I just wanted to just bring it up because, hey, Tim, you better stop messing with God's daughters, man, because karma is a beast on you, B. What you think?
Listen, okay, so y'all know I'm not really big into sports, but I had to go see what the hoopla was about. Again, I don't condone violence, but I was down to watch because I felt like I was watching a boxing match because the announcer was like, yeah, Tim goes down. Oh snap, let me rewind. Okay, so first of all, I have to ask you, Tim, what was this fight about? I couldn't tell.
Well, they've been calling Tim Anderson a dirty player, right?
Oh.
So Jose slid into second base, but how Tim tagged him, he was blocking the base, which is a big no-no in baseball. On top of that, how he tagged him was just not the right way. Mm-hmm. And so Jose took offense to it. He got up. He's, saying, yo, I didn't really appreciate that. I didn't like that. And Tim has a history of doing this. And so since players get fed up with players doing certain things, Jose took it in his own hands, literally, to do what he had to do with Tim.
Yeah.
Tim was like trying to talk that trash back and everything like that. Tim swung, he missed, Jose connected, and boom, down went Tim. Tim went down, man. And it was, to me, it was a funny sight. I was like, dang, man, he got hit worse than Earl Spence did. I'm sorry, is it too soon, Dallas people? But yeah, because Earl Spence definitely got some that work put on him by Crawford, but we're not going to talk about that.
Too soon for us Dallasites. DeSotoite for me. DeSoto.
Oh, so you claiming DeSoto? You not claiming?
Today, today
you not claiming
I got my days. I want to claim DeSoto.
Oh, you are a fair weather fan because if he would have won, Dallas stand up, but nah, he lost and lost bad. Now I'm from DeSoto.
Yeah. Get well soon. Rest up. You'll get them next time, champ.
That is so wrong. So wrong. But yeah.
But no, as it relates to this whole situation, I do believe you reap what you sow. So, we already knew Tim was a hot mess for disrespecting his wife in that fashion, disrespecting the marriage in that fashion, bringing in outside child, all of that stuff. So to see this happen, nobody wins when the family's, going through stuff. Nobody really wins. But there is some sense of you reap what you sow, fortunately. And I think that's good for all of us. If we just went around here doing negative stuff all the time and we never got to deal with the consequences of the things that we do, we'd probably all be jacked up. But yeah, to him too, get well soon. Rest up, champ. Rest up.
Take these 6 games and fix your cheeks, because I know they still hurting at this point. They still hurting at this point. So Tam, what we got next? We
have the question. So there was a guy that took to social media. He was married and now he's going through a divorce. Okay. So I saved y'all from the video. I'm just going to explain it to you. So he said one day he asked his wife if he was drowning, would she save her son or would she save him? Now, when the question was posed back to him, she asked him in return, would you save my son? I know he's your stepson, but would you save my son or would you save me? The guy says, I would save you. I love you more than I love your son. and that caused some ruckus within their household. And now he's dealing with a divorce for this hypothetical question. How many times have you been in a relationship and there was a hypothetical question? Now you're arguing over something that really didn't happen. It was just stupid. But I wanted to ask you, Tim. I mean, obviously, you're married. You got bonus kids. I ain't trying to cause no mess. But in a situation like that, would you save the kid or would you save your wife?
It's a tough call. It's a very tough call. I'm probably gonna say, as much as I love my wife, probably gonna save the kids first, only because no parent should have to bury their children. I'm gonna say that. Now, of course, if it was my wife, I mean, that's my life partner. That's somebody that I love dearly and everything and share my life with. I would be absolutely devastated if it had to be her. But I do feel like you still gotta get a kid an opportunity to live, you know, have a life and things like that. And no parent should have to bury their children, you know. So only because of that is why I'm saying the children, not because I love the kids more than mom or anything like that. It's only because I just couldn't bury my kid. You know what I'm saying? It's just wild. But it's tough because I wouldn't want to bury my wife either. That's why I'd be like, man, man, take us both if that's the case. That's how I feel. But I don't. But also, it's a hypothetical question, and so what bothers me? Yeah, it's a hypothetical. You're divorcing your husband over a hypothetical question. If you don't really want to know the answer, don't ask it. Sure. Okay, because if it doesn't align with what your thought process is or whatever you may say, see, that's it. That's that man's opinion. It's just an opinion. It's not something that is coming true. And so why are you getting upset about that? I don't understand it. And so this man having to deal with a divorce, that meant that his marriage was on quicksand from the jump. That meant that it had no foundation, it had no chance in the first place.
I agree. It's a very difficult question to ask somebody. Once upon a time, when I was married, me and my ex-husband, we had and that conversation was, y'all still see me? Uh-oh. Y'all still see me?
Nah.
Uh-oh.
And you got me like on a repeat. She had me on a repeat, y'all. But it did sound like she was saying something about how if she was married, I think they might have had some kind of story. So when she comes back, we can talk more about it. But once again, we are currently talking about one day about this man who unfortunately had to get divorced because his wife asked a hypothetical question. It's a hypothetical, right? And so Tam is back to tell her story.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so my ex-husband and I, we had a hypothetical moment. So the hypothetical, like if something were to happen to our kids, would he save me or the kids? You know what he told me? He said he would save me. And I was a little bit offended because I was like, why would you? I'm really old. I've lived my life. Save the kids. You know, they have so much to live for. He's just like, we could just have more kids. If I save you, we can have more kids. This is his thought process. Everybody has a different thought process, right? You don't take into account, like, if you save me over the kid, how much grief I'm going to have to deal with every single day, or the thought of even wanting to feel like I'm replacing them, you know, that kind of thing. And very much a hypothetical. I think for me, as much as I would hate to choose, I would probably save the kid, because it's just because I have the mindset of I'm not I've lived a really good life. I feel like my kids need to have the ability to live, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's just me. Everybody thinks differently, but there's no reason to get a divorce over a hypothetical question. There's no reason for that.
That's crazy. I just feel like it was never going to last. She found that might have been her way out, trying to find the stupidest thing to, you know, have a hypothetical about, which is that, and then say, I don't want to be with you anymore. Nah, you want to be with that man long term in the first place if it went about that. Like, I can understand you feeling some kind of way if he said, "Oh, I'd save you," but even in that, that's not even being selfish. It'd be funny. It'd be real funny if he said, like, "Yeah, if it was between me and the kids, who would you save?" And he said, "Neither one of y'all. I'm getting up out of here." Then I'd be concerned a little bit, okay? Because now I'm like, you only looking out for yourself. But if you got to choose, it's just his choice. Let it be his choice.
Either way, yeah, it's tough. And look, imagine having to choose in a split second, though. Like right now, we get a little bit of time to think about it. Imagine having to make that life-threatening choice in a millisecond. You really don't know what you'll do until that moment comes, and we pray to God that moment never comes. Pray to God.
Yeah. Pray to
All
God.
Right. So let's get to the next topic. So the next topic is actually about femininity. You know, when I scroll through my phone, when I'm not shopping, I'm always seeing some podcasters talk about women and their femininity, or you now hear how women are talking about this soft woman era, where they want to just be in their soft woman era, just bask in their femininity. So I seen this video where it talked about how men are basically making women more masculine. And when I say making, I'm not saying they're forcing them to be this way. I'm just saying that they are positioning them to operate as such. Okay. So I wanted to actually have like a kind of open dialogue with you, Tim, because when I think of my femininity and like the things that I desire to rest into my femininity, there are some things that I consider that I just really don't want to do as a woman. Like one of the things is that they talked about is just leading, right? So oftentimes when you are dating or in relationship, you'll have men that simply aren't decision makers. They don't know how to make a decision. They're very indecisive, and they put everything into the woman's hands. The woman is operating everything, and then on the back end, I'll hear these same men say, "She thinks she's running something."
Yeah, definitely heard that.
Yeah, it's like she thinks she's running something, but I'm like, you position her to actually run that area, right? And if you're positioning her to do that, you're allowing her to shift her femininity over into masculinity, right? She's now directing you. She's now giving you orders and saying, "All right, babe, this is what we gonna do." So I don't think, now I can't speak for every man, because y'all know I try not to speak for y'all men. I try to keep it in my lane, 10 and 2. But I don't believe a man wants his woman leading him at every single turn in the relationship. And I understand strengths and weaknesses, right? We all have them in relationship, and you figure out, all right, I'm stronger here, you're weaker here, so I'm going to step up here and I'm going to take that off of your plate, and then maybe I'll step up in another area and take that off. You know, I understand that balance, but when it comes to indecisiveness and not making any kind of choices that require you to lead in a relationship, you are allowing your woman to operate in masculine energy, right? And when you do that, you're positioning her to not be your wife, right? Not submit under your leadership, which we were talking about, right? Submission, to not submit under your leadership, because there's no leadership to submit under. So for me, I just wanted to basically have this open dialogue, Tim, with you. Have you noticed this, or is this something that you've heard or seen as it relates to like men positioning women to operate more in their masculine energy and then complain about it?
I don't necessarily hear of many men automatically forcing their women. Like, I don't hear a lot of men forcing their women into operating in their masculinity. But what I have seen is women operating in their masculinity because they have to. I would say a lot of times when it comes to a woman having to operate in her masculinity with a fully functional man in the house, It's because that man probably doesn't even understand his own masculinity. He doesn't understand his own power. He doesn't understand his own impact on the family, on the house. There could be so many reasons why this man is deficient in so many ways with developing his inner man. And so because of that, responsibilities and tasks still need to get done when it comes to your home, your children, your job, your career, functioning in and thriving in that environment. Things still need to get done. And most women are not going to just sit and wait for a man to do something. It's not in y'all nature to just sit and watch a man just not do anything. Okay. Y'all gonna go, because security for y'all is built around the who, the what, the when, the why, the how. It's going to be built around all of those things. And if a man can't support the who, the what, the when, the where, the how, when it comes to that, you're not going to be, not only are you not going to be submissive towards him, but you're going to take on that energy. Let's just throw it out there. Prime example. Let's just say there's strength and weaknesses, and should be in every relationship, right? And so as a man, we should want our women to, if they have the skills to being great in certain areas, allow them to thrive by taking a lead in those areas, right? But y'all had that discussion to delegate those responsibilities. That's where it comes in as partnership, as the partnership together. But oftentimes things still need to get done. No one's having a conversation. A man is not leading the conversation. And so a woman just feels like, I'm going to go ahead and get it done. So now she can't operate in her femininity by just sitting back, watching her man be a man, because he ain't stepping up to be a man. And so she got to do the manly things and be, operating that masculine energy that really shouldn't be coming out like that. And so I have witnessed that aspect where I've witnessed women having to take up the mantle forcefully because stuff needs to get done. And so then what comes? Then resentment is built, anger, frustration. So many things are born out of that when a woman can't be a woman. When you can't be a woman, it's a problem. So I've seen a lot of that more than, just saying, hey, baby, I don't want to do this, or can you do this? It's not about that. So that's what I've seen.
Yeah. I've seen the same thing, and I've heard stories of the same thing. And even, honestly, probably up until maybe 5 years ago, I had to operate like that in a relationship. I had to operate like that. I had to step up and be comfortable with being uncomfortable in that leadership role. And a lot of it has benefited me outside of the home, but inside of the home, I was just like, oh, when do I get to rest, right? And I think everybody wants to be able to have a comfort zone at home. And when you do that, you're pushing your woman to have this strenuous load that she is not equipped to carry, right? We all have our own load. We all have, the Bible talks about like measure of faith that we all have, and what we are able to carry and what we're able to hope and believe in, all of those things. So I believe that that's the same, like the responsibilities that we have, the pain that we experience, even biblically, what the Bible tells women they'll have to endure, and then men are going to have to toil, is what it talked about when it referred to Adam, and it talked about labor pains and, carrying, all of that for us. And I feel like we've gotten so far away from that, where we're trying to put our weight and our responsibility on each other while we're carrying our own stuff. And that's why you see a lot of people are depressed, and a lot of people are just burnt out. They're simply burnt out. And we're pointing the finger at each other and nothing's really changing. So I feel like it's so important that we just identify those things and understand that, when you're out of order, everybody else is out of order too, right? You're putting additional burdens on the household, additional strain, and nobody wins.
Let me ask you a question. When you mentioned that you were in a relationship where you felt like you had to take up the mantle more, what are some feelings that you felt towards that man as you were in that relationship? Like, what did you feel towards him?
I try to use my words. Sadness. It was just like anger, sadness, frustration, disappointment. Those are all the things that I felt. And I would say some level of resentment, right? But disappointment was probably the number one thing I felt, just because I'm surrounded by great men. And when you're surrounded by great men and you're with somebody who is not operating as such, it's like somebody's putting a bright light in your face, and the flashes are going off, and you can't not see it, right? Because it's not normalcy for you. Because if normalcy for you is to have a strong man who is protector or provider, you know, and he gives you provision, he's praying for you, all of those things, and then you're connected to somebody who's not doing that, you see lack exponentially. And the weight of that is just like, all right, well, maybe if I, you know, coerce him to want more for himself, he'll step up. A part of me always thought that all men, it made men proud to want to provide, proud to want to protect. And there are men that they hang that. They love to do that. Like, their families are their trophies, you know? So you have men that do that. And then you have a body of men, and I don't know. So I was like gonna say, maybe they've never seen it, or maybe they've never desired it. Because sometimes even when you don't see it, you still desire it. So it's hard for me to make an excuse for somebody, you know, what their will or what their wants are. But for me, a high level of disappointment, because I believe all men are capable. And when I believe all men are capable and I don't see that you yourself believe that, it just leaves me with disappointment.
Yeah, disappointment should be at the top of the list. Just imagine you think you found love, right? And you found security in this man. Because most women have been taught, with a lot of us men, that while there are good men out there, you also know about the bad apples too. So you already have your guard up a little bit when you've been hurt, when you've been cheated on, when you've been disrespected, when you've been abused, when women have gone through those types of things. Now your guard is up. So just imagine your guard coming down with a man who probably said and presented that they were this strong man in all these ways. And then once you get in a relationship with them and get to know them and get to know their flaws and their weaknesses, and then you see a huge character flaw that you didn't expect come out, because that person presented that they were strong-willed, that they were responsible. They presented all these things during the courting and dating phase, only to be disappointed when you get deep into the weeds and deep in a relationship with them, that they actually are not presenting what they should be as a man. And that's very disappointing for a woman. And we have so many stories and situations like that where women get bamboozled and tricked into being in a relationship or into a situation with a man because he's saying that he's one way, but he's not this particular way, or at least not in a consistent basis. So now you automatically lose trust, lose faith in them. You have nothing but resentment and disappointment towards them. And so now we're dealing with just a bad, toxic relationship based on that. So far too many times we've seen that. I apologize if that has happened to you in previous relationships. And I'm sorry to all the women that have been bamboozled by us men, where we present that we are one particular way and we're not, you know. And I can speak for myself being that way too, you know, in the past, of course, not being consistent in certain ways. And so we have to learn to first deal with whatever character flaws and weaknesses and things that we have for ourselves before we bring somebody else into our mess. Because we all have baggage. No matter what the baggage is, we have baggage. But you still have an opportunity to fix some of those things prior to getting into a relationship and hurting someone else. And far too many times we don't want to be alone to do the work as men. We have to be with someone in order to do the work. You got to do the work prior to being with somebody. And that's a hard lesson to learn. Trust me, it is. But sit with yourself and build your own character. And that way, once you get into a relationship with somebody, they don't have to worry about these different character flaws that might have eluded you in previous relationships. So that's what we have to do as men. You have to take care of yourself before you could take care of anybody else, because you don't want a woman resenting you for something that you should be doing. Because trust me, she may forgive, but she ain't going to forget. Trust me. It'll be, man, it's 2023 now. If you still with a woman from 1998, 2006, whatever, she remembers, okay? She remembers the exact time, the exact date when that infraction happened. Don't be that dude. Just do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And if you have a good woman, she'll support the change. She'll support you doing what you need to do if you have a good woman. And I can't say all women are good. So, like, that's the other piece, right? I can't say all, it's just guys. Not all women are good. Some women trick guys too. So, but it's our responsibility, like Tim was saying, is to make sure whatever way that we're saying we are, we actually show up as such. And, you know, we can reduce the amount of toxicity as it relates to relationships and a lot of these broken homes.
That's good. That's good, Tam. Tam is speaking to us ladies and to the men, speaking to both of us. So definitely love it. So we're going to move forward a little something. We on this topic about submission anyway, you know, and so I want you to hear from a woman's point of view on what submission is for her. Take a listen.
To me, submission has nothing to do with cooking and cleaning. I feel like that's basic necessities of a functioning adult. Like, you got to eat and you should have a clean house. Like, that's simple shit. It has everything to do with submitting to their will in a disagreement and allowing them to lead as a partner. So even if you guys don't agree with something, you feel one way, he feels another way. If you're a submissive woman, then you will submit to his will and allow him to lead, and you lead and trust him.
Just say it, Renee.
So as always, one thing, Tam, and I want to remind you real quick, it is very interactive. So make sure that you are putting your comments in the comment section if you are joining us. So we thank you guys for joining us. So, you know, even about this topic with submission, Tam, I'm going to have you start.
I'm going to start with Victoria. Thanks for watching. If you guys are new here, go ahead and click that like button, subscribe, follow us. We have so much to talk about. As it relates to submission, Tim, thank you for this video. Because the last one you gave us was, I don't know. The last one on submission, I was like, girl. But this video is good to watch. And it's good to watch in a time where women, first, you have women that say they don't need men. Like, I don't know who these women are. But for us that know we need each other, right? Submission is really just is the natural order. It's the natural order. If we're, I mean, I don't want to minimize a woman's worth, but I know a man's worth too. And when you know a man's worth too, you can't help but to follow that man because he's exuding the ability to lead, right? And when a man is able and capable of exuding the ability to lead, which means good or bad, the buck stops with him, then you know that you can rest. There's nothing wrong with submission. I know submission is hard. It's hard. I know it's difficult, especially if you're a single lady. It's difficult to put down your guard. It's difficult to have somebody else lead you because I'm pretty sure you can do it. You've been doing it, right? You're successful at doing it. But in the next phase and level of your life and connectivity, you can't have, what they say, too many chiefs and not enough Indians. That's the old saying. And I'm not trying to, I have Indian, Native American, so I'm not being that way in my family and in me. So, but you can't have too many leaders. You have to have somebody that's going to be able to give you direction. You have to have somebody that's going to be able to take the order and carry those things out. You have to be able to delegate that. And as Tim was saying, previously, there's strengths and weaknesses. And if you are connected with the right man, he will be a great guide in hearing God and you being able to simply follow. And what she said to me was so impactful, is just the ability to follow even when you're frustrated, even when you're upset, you don't quite agree with what's happening. I have a cousin who I remember, like, when her husband was going into ministry. You hear this all the time. Her husband was going to ministry, and she was just like, girl, it was like one of those things, like, all right, what is my identity? Like, God is calling him this way, but what is my me? And once we step out of me and we look at us, we'll realize that he is leading the ship. He's leading all of us. So we can step outside of ourselves. And I think it's so paramount that we're capable of stepping outside of ourselves to allow somebody to guide the ship. That's what I say.
Whew. To hear this from a woman is refreshing. To hear this from a woman, you understand the order of life and a marriage, I'll say. You understand that it's God, then man, and then the man gets the direction from God, and then he passes that same direction and guidance on to his wife. That's what it should be about. It does not minimize the impact on a woman's thoughts. It doesn't minimize the impact on how she views anything when it comes to life. It should not minimize anything to her importance of her existence. It does not minimize that. Submission does not minimize a woman. There is strength in submission. Because what you're doing is essentially you're trusting that man is getting direction from God. So what you're doing is you just closing your eyes, and just like when we were kids, you would close your eyes and you would fall back hoping that the person would catch you, right? So if this is my wife over here, she is repeatedly choosing in some ways to close her eyes and hope that I catch her, that I got her. But I can only do that if I'm getting direction from God. I can't do it blindly. I gotta have my eyes and my ears open to the Lord. You know what I'm saying? And that way she can follow me if she knows the direction I'm going in. And so as men, have somebody follow God so that you can take that same direction and guidance and pass it on to your wife, to your significant other, to your children, because you're being led the right way. So and I love what you said about knowing that men are important too, right? So many times we get caught up in this happy wife, happy life thing, right? So many times we get caught up in that, but it really is happy spouse, happy house. Okay. Happy spouse means we follow in the order, the chain of command. The chain of command is God. As a man, I serve you. I'm your servant. I'm your bond servant. And so at the end of the day, not only I want my wife to be submissive, but guess what? As a man, I'm asking for submission, but I'm gonna serve her too. I'm serving her. So you getting me as a servant, and then you submitting to me. Yo, we right here. This is where it's at. We right here. So you're benefiting from your submission.
Yeah. Victoria asked what type of argument are we talking about? What do you mean, Victoria?
Yeah.
Are you like every argument you need to submit? Like if he says something and that turns into an argument, what do you mean?
And because with the argument at the end of the day, let's just say you guys get it. Oh, wait a minute. She said, when I'm right, I'm right. Yeah. Even when you're right, you still have to submit. I highly recommend you submit, even if you got facts, all the facts. Do you know how many times, prime example, because Tam brought up situation with pastors, right? Do you know how many times Pastors get called to preach. Pastors get called to move their families, uproot their families, and everything. But women are more logical. Y'all more logical. Y'all see, well, how are we gonna make ends? Ain't no way you could pastor right now. You need to work. You need that 6-figure job right now because we got this new house, these new babies, these kids. The woman's right. In that aspect, she's right. But what if God is still speaking to that man, even though you got all the facts in front of you? But what if God is still telling that man, be obedient to me? He's saying, be obedient to me, not to your wife at this point. No. And we have to submit to one another, first of all, too. So it's not just submitting one way. Submission goes both ways. Man got to submit to the woman. Woman got to submit to the man. But the man is submitting to God. That's the order. Okay. But at the same time, you could be 100% right. You could be 100% right, but you still got to submit. Especially if that man is getting direction from God. Now, I'm not saying, but even in that submission, you could give all the facts and things like that. And as a man, we still have to take all of that into account. And you may end up getting the thing that you want, which is to be heard and understood. And he's going to do what it is that you saying that he's going to do. And he's submitting to you in that point, and he's submitting to the greater good at the end of the day. And that's the same thing for women. Y'all submitting to the greater good, even if you can't see it.
Yeah. Victoria says it's a struggle.
I'm sure.
Being transparent, I think, is so beautiful because it's not easy. It's not easy to submit. It's not easy for men to submit to God. Let's be honest. We don't consider that it's also a struggle for our husbands to submit to whatever God is asking of them. We're just thinking about our struggle and the fact that we got to submit. But if you're doing this thing right, everybody's in submission. So if we consider that, then we can have a better understanding of the journey and the walk that we're all are taking and the roles that we need to align to. But also, if you're connected to God, God will also align you to the vision. He may not do it first. He may not do it immediately, but he will also align you to the vision.
Yeah, that's good. He'll align you to the vision. That's what's most important is the vision, because his ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. And I really love what you said about men having to submit to God. It is not a cakewalk to submit to God. It is not. As a man, I'm just keeping it a buck with y'all. It's not easy. It's not easy when we got to submit to God, when God is telling me specifically to do something and I just don't see it. I can't see the forest from the trees. I don't understand how this is going to work. It's very hard to submit to God sometimes, but I still do it because I'd rather be obedient to him. Obedience is better than sacrifice. And so I have to be obedient, and I may do it with my nose turned up a little bit, but then I end up seeing the end result and I'm like, God, you're right. And what does that do? That allows me to trust more in him. I trust him more and more and more because I keep seeing, God, as I'm obedient to you, then wow, okay, I know that the chain of command is obedience, and then you'll bless me with wisdom, discernment. Doesn't always have to be material. It could be just the wisdom and discernment alone is amazing, or the peace of mind is amazing. The self-awareness is amazing. All those things are amazing. And I trust you more and more. And that's how it should be. Submission is, now with God, he deserves our submission. He deserves it. But with us, it's earned because we are wrapped in flesh. So we've made mistakes. We sin. We fall short. So our submission should come earned. So women that struggle with submitting to men, he still got to earn it.
Yeah. Especially like the man misses like the anniversary the day before, and then the next day he's like, all right, babe, God told us to move. You're like, what? Yeah. You can't remember our anniversary, but God told us.
Yeah. Like, and look at our girl, Victoria. See, she said, I didn't even think about it going both ways. And that's good. That's good.
I don't think anybody really thinks about it that way. As a woman, I can say this is new to me. Like, God is dealing with me and allowing me to understand how things are done decent and in order. Now, if he would have asked me this question 10 years ago, I would have been, I would have been like, no, I'm the only one that's submitting. Like, I'm not, it would have been the me that I just talked about. But it's so helpful to understand that man is in submission too.
Yeah, definitely in submission as well. All right, y'all. Last but not least, we got one more video for y'all to go through. I don't know if you guys have heard of the podcast, as well as they have a game. It's called Tonight's Conversations. Tonight's Conversations goes all over the U.S. They put on these different forums to where it's about 6 or 7 people, African American, younger people like us, and they just talk about their experiences in relationships, and they bring up these different questions that according to the card game. So Ace Metaphor is he is the creator of not only the podcast but the game as well. Shout out to Ace Metaphor. I mean, one thing I can say about tonight's conversation is they definitely captured lightning in a bottle. So I think it's from that aspect, for my Black people doing anything, that's great. But I will tell you, I'm not a fan necessarily of the platform. Part of the reason why is because the same people that you're going to hear in a minute, they use their experiences, and then they're putting that into other people's minds as if that's the right thing to do. This one in particular blew my mind. So I'm just going to let y'all see it. We're going to let y'all see it, excuse me. And y'all take your own part on it. But pretty much, men cheat to find peace.
Why aside peace or whatever might be desirable. Yeah. What I'm saying is we always push this narrative of men need so much peace. But if that's the case and men need a caveat and a gateway to have peace, then don't think that a spa day will do it for a woman when Big Daryl might do it for her too. We never like to talk about that. What could you do better? Yeah. Could I please get some on the side as well? Is all I'm asking.
I know, right?
No.
No. Why would a woman want on the side?
Why would a man want?
We don't think about that. Okay. Hold on. We ain't doing it for. We're doing it for what, guys? It's the
You said peace to you, and we will do it as well. Like you said, when you said the environment is stressful, you said there's a lot of moving parts, kids, Yeah. And there might be a man out there. There is a man out there that don't mind it at all. Like, you're new to somebody too. That's the problem. We sit up here and we look at our women. Men look at women like, yeah, you're mine. That's mine. That's my woman. Yeah. We can't go nowhere, and we are not to be touched, and we are to be exclusive to just you, while you're able to go out and do whatever you need to find peace, whatever. Yeah. But what you don't understand is there's about 10 lined up. Like, I wish I had a shot. There's 10 in her DMs that's like, boy, you lucky. And as soon as your man trip up, let me know. I can provide you with peace.
Yikes.
Woo. You want me to start or you?
I'm gonna let you start. I'm still digesting.
This whole narrative about cheating, it's like getting played at this point. I think people are really just more and more people are just trying to find a way to just live a polygamous life. I mean, like seriously, because this topic is just so prevalent. Like, number one, the fact that a woman is coming back with that same conversation saying, well, what if I got 10 dudes lined up in my DMs, and so I could get that anytime I want to find peace. Because if you get on my nerves, let's talk about all the stuff that we've been talking about tonight. Okay. So let's just say hypothetically, if you don't want to pay the bills, if you want to just play the game all day, if you want to not work all day, if I gotta be all these things and I gotta have masculine energy, and you not doing what I need you to do, then that gives me a pass to go find what I need to go find. I could go find peace over here from this dude who could give me what I need and everything else. Because dudes will say, oh, man, my old lady, she tripping, and then go out and step out with somebody who gives him quote unquote peace. So many times we've heard that narrative so many times. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. So number one, and the first thing he said was, nope, you can't go do the same thing that I would do. And so one thing is, hey, don't do it if you can't handle it. Okay. So if you can't handle her cheating on you, don't cheat on her. That's number one. Number two, we got to get rid of this whole tit for tat. Hey, if you got to go do what you got to do so I could go do what I want to do. We got to get rid of that attitude, which is why I just am not a fan sometimes of them talking about this type of stuff without giving something better than just the retaliation language, if that makes sense. So I know for me personally, I'm kind of tired of it. So it is what it is. What you think?
Victoria said Keita went in. Listen, I'm about to give y'all some carnality and I'm about to give y'all some spiritual in a second, but I'm gonna start with carnality. I'm being my flesh for like 2 seconds. So pray for me. Okay. Women have been cheating back since the beginning of time. Okay. I'm just going to put that out there. You got some cousins right now that don't belong to your uncle. Okay. No, but not everybody know. Okay.
That sounds like some down south mess.
No, that's all. It's prevalent. It's an epidemic.
No wonder he got blue eyes.
Light skin, blue eyes, pretty hair. Come on. Yeah, and they trying to blame it out. No, Uncle Johnny from 3 generations ago had the same kind of skin tone. That's where it came from. No, it didn't. It came from the milkman.
That's right.
So
more than milk.
The thing is, it's weird to me being a woman that men believe what they want to believe as it relates to this sex topic, that flesh has a gender preference. Flesh does not have a gender preference. Men and women want to be promiscuous. I'm getting back into spiritual now. When you look at the Bible, when it talks about being promiscuous, who is it talking about? And I know it's biased. I know the Bible is biased when it comes to this, but who is it talking about? It's mostly talking about women.
Oh, yeah.
Women getting it in.
That is a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, she has 6 husbands. Yeah, when you read the Bible, they was getting it in, But it's almost like some men, I can't say all of y'all, but some men overlook the fact that we are all walking in this flesh thing. We all have desires. And to your point, if we're just all disappointed, and disappointment means that we can step out in our relationship because side pieces bring peace, then that's going to ever prevalently continue, especially within our community, because I'm going to talk about our community because I see our community talking about this the most. Our numbers as far as like marriage, broken homes, poverty, poor communities, those numbers, they are increasing. If you're not, y'all see me? Okay. If you're not under a rock,
you gone again.
You notice that these numbers are steadily increasing. And if they are increasing and nobody's doing anything different, then we're just going to continue to have this toxic conversation. Like, I'm sick of having toxic conversations around why it's okay to cheat. Like, if you're not happy with your situation, especially if you're dating, go ahead and move around. If you are married and this is your thought process while you're married and you took vows to your spouse and to God, what kind of person are you? You don't keep your promises. Like, you can't be, if I can't trust you with your vow to God, I cannot trust you. Because I know, like, when it comes to God, I'm nobody. But if you break your vow to the man upstairs, you don't operate in honoring that relationship that you said to God and whoever were there, for me, it's just like, I can't trust you with me. Because I don't know what you're going to do when you get mad at me. I don't know what you're going to do when maybe I left the dish in the sink because I was tired and I worked 14 hours and I didn't feel like doing it today. I got up, I was running late and I didn't make the bed before I left and you came home before me. Anything is going to cause you to cheat. Like, who wants to be in a situation that should be forever, but it's fair weather. It's just based on those feelings. Like, I wouldn't want to be in that kind of relationship at all. And for any man that makes excuses like, oh, well, I just do it and I don't have any, feelings and it's, to me, it's not even about that. It's about you breaking your commitment. You are not a man of your word. That's what it's about to me. But who am I? I don't know much.
The fact that we continue to debate the cheating aspect in relationships.
I can't hear you.
The fact, can you hear me now? Because you not even there anymore.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can't see you.
Can you hear me?
She gone, y'all. She gone.
Yo, Victoria, can you hear me? Can you hear Tim and can you?
Our friend is having some technical difficulties. Even though Victoria said she could have heard you, which is kind of funny. We just couldn't see you, and I could hear you too. So hopefully she'll get back here soon. But to finish the conversation a little bit until she comes back, I'm just so tired of having a conversation about cheating. I mean, it doesn't make any sense for us to continue to have conversations about cheating. Here we go. She back now, y'all. All right. But she can't hear us. She can't hear us.
I don't hear you. You can hear me?
Hey, y'all need to tell Tam that she needs to pay her Wi-Fi bill, because
no idea what you're saying. Trying to
she stay not paying that bill. That's what it is. Nah, seriously. Until she comes back, though, I just want to finish off by saying I just don't understand why we continue to have this conversation about cheating. We continue to have it like it should be up for debate. If you're not married and that person's just not doing it for you in any way, shape, or form, just go. Just don't put yourself through the hassle of going through cheating and hurting somebody and all those things. It just doesn't make any sense. And if you marry, like Tam said, you're not honoring your vows. So if you're not honoring those, you definitely can't be trusted, like, at all. You just can't be trusted. And so we just continue to have this conversation. I'm tired of having this conversation about
so
it should only
have to learn to
all those other
deal with whatever character flaws and weaknesses and things that we have to.
Okay, so Tam is playing something.
You don't have to learn to go and all those other deal with whatever.
I can't hear. I can't. Victoria, you can hear me, but I can't hear Tim.
We can hear you.
I'm operating on bootleg.
We can hear you. You just can't hear us. And so it's all good though. But that's really it. We definitely talked about this cheating thing enough. But until Tam comes back on, I'm gonna go ahead and start off my final thoughts for you guys. We definitely talked about how the side piece brings peace. I think that is the most silliest, asinine thing that you could do. If you just want to be with the side piece, go ahead and be with the side piece. But I guarantee you, he or she's going to do the exact same thing to you that they did with you. So keep that in mind as that comes into play. Let's see if Tam can hear us. Hopefully she can hear us. Can you hear us? No? Now we can't hear you. Oh, man. Nope. See, Victoria says she can't hear you, sis. Well, Victoria, we want to thank y'all for joining us. We got this. I'm just finishing up these final thoughts, but really, we need to just stop having that conversation. But overall, let's continue to spread positivity in our community, in our lives, around the people that we surround ourselves with. Those are just kind of my final thoughts. Nonetheless, let's see if she comes back with some sound. So, Tam, do you have any sound?
Thanks, Tim. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Thanks. Thank
back.
you.
All right, thank you, Jesus. All right. Well, I was going through my final thoughts. I already said them. I just was pretty much saying, listen, let's just bring positivity this week to our world, to our community. Let's walk in faith. Let's walk in love. And let's stop trying to freaking cheat on each other. Like, seriously, let's stop that. Let's stop having this conversation, man. So those are my final thoughts. Tam, what you got?
Look, first, she's back. Okay, I'm done. Okay, final thoughts for the brethren and sisterin that are watching. First and foremost, thank you guys so much for tuning in with Tim and Tam Talks. We appreciate you guys for rocking with us. If you are new here, go ahead and click that follow, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, or follow us on Facebook. Like this, comment, let us know what you guys want to talk about. As far as my final thoughts tonight, Black people, I'm so proud of you this week. I don't know if I've ever been more proud. I don't know. Very proud of you. Keep supporting each other. Keep looking out for each other. Keep winning, right? Keep winning. All right. The next thing is, y'all, we have to do a better job at picking our mates. I know people lie. Okay, I know people lie, but let's make sure we do the due diligence to make sure we are connecting with purpose partners. Somebody that we are comfortable, especially if you're a woman, somebody that you're comfortable with following. Oftentimes we are in these connections and we have such resentment to fall into a role of submission because we are connecting with people that aren't leaders, right? So make sure that we are connecting with people that we know we can rest with. We know, babe got it. I'll follow babe to the moon because I know babe got it. So let's make sure we do that. Let's make sure we stop cheating. Let's make sure we can focus on bringing down these statistical numbers and stop being stereotyped and buying into the propaganda that we have to be a stereotype, because we do not have to be that. And with these podcasts that are feeding this into our community, telling us that we don't need each other, guys, let's do a better job at being the voice of reason in those situations. And keep loving each other. Keep working on each other. Keep working on yourself, and stay out of the mindset of being poor minded, and stop having scarcity mindset. Those are my final thoughts.
I love it. Thank you, Tam. All great final thoughts. Just excellent final thoughts. Well, we have come to the conclusion of our show. We want to thank y'all very much for joining us here at Tim and Tam Talks, the Back Pew Conversation. Please make sure that you like, share, follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. We all on the Joan, okay? We all on social media. So yes, Victoria, I saw your comment about, are we on YouTube? Yes, we are. Please subscribe to the Back Pew Conversations, Tim and Tam Talks. We are on YouTube, and we will be bringing great content to you guys every Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Central. And we just want to thank you guys for joining once again. Thank you, and God bless you guys.
Wait. Y'all can tip us on Facebook. Go ahead and send some stars our way so I can work on my Wi-Fi. All right, we'll see y'all next week.
Yo, peace. Good night.